Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a law of power that honestly feels like it's pulled straight from a spy movie. But here's the thing, it applies to just about everything, from a high-stakes business deal to your everyday life. It's all about the massive strategic edge you get when you keep people guessing. So let's get into it.
Just think about that for a second. In any plan, any negotiation, any move you make, there's that critical tipping point.
Because the second your real goal is out there for everyone to see, you've basically handed them the playbook to beat you, right? They can build a defense, they can actively try to sabotage you, or they can just walk away. Your element of surprise is gone, and your power, it's gone right with it.
To really see how catastrophic this can be, we're going to start with a bit of a cautionary tale. This is a story about how weeks and weeks of a perfect strategy can be completely wiped out by just 3 little words.
Well, for the answer, we have to go back to 17th century France. There was this young nobleman, the Marquis de Sévigné, and he was totally head over heels for a beautiful but very unattainable countess. He was getting nowhere, so he went for help from an absolute legend, the courtesan Ninon Delenclos, a true master of seduction and power.
Ninon gave him this brilliant multi-step plan. She told him, "You're going to lay siege to her heart like a general attacking a castle. Step 1, confuse her. Act like you're just a friend to lower her guard. Step 2, make her jealous. Be seen with other stunning women. And step 3, be completely unpredictable. Keep her totally off balance." And you know what? It was working like a charm. The Countess was fascinated. She was hooked. She was falling for him.
And then, he just blew it. In one impulsive moment, he couldn't help himself. He grabbed her hands and blurted out that fatal sentence. And just like that, poof, the magic was gone. The whole mysterious game he was playing was suddenly exposed as just a cheap trick. His charm instantly looked like slimy manipulation. He'd showed his cards, and that door slammed shut for good. Okay, so that was a total failure. Now let's flip the script and look at a true master of this law. We're going to move from the romance of the salon to the brutal battlefield of politics and talk about a guy who hid his intentions on a world-changing scale. The one and only Otto von Bismarck. So picture this, it's the 1850s, and Prussia is buzzing with war fever. Everybody wants a piece of Austria. Bismarck, who was known for being this super patriotic military hawk, was expected to lead the charge. But instead, he gets up in front of Parliament and does the absolute last thing anyone expected. He passionately argues for peace and even praises Austria. Everyone was stunned.
And this is where you see the genius deception, right? His public words were a complete front. He knew, deep down, the Prussian army wasn't strong enough yet. So by saying what the king wanted to hear, let's have peace, he got himself appointed to the cabinet. And from that position of power, he could quietly build the unstoppable military machine he knew he'd need to achieve his real, lifelong dream, to one day crush Austria and unite Germany by force.
So we've seen how powerful this is, right? We've seen it fail spectacularly, and we've seen it succeed on a massive scale. But the question is, how do you actually do it? Well, the masters tend to use 2 main tools, the red herring and the smokescreen. Okay, so a red herring is all about active misdirection. You dangle something shiny and believable in front of your target to get them laser focused on it so they completely miss what you're actually up to. And nobody, I mean nobody, was better at this than the legendary con man Joseph Yellow Kid Whale. Whale's whole game was dangling a juicy red herring in front of his mark, a guy named Sam Giesel. The bait? A ridiculously good deal on a piece of land. Giesel's eyes were so glued to the dollar signs he thought he was going to make that he completely ignored this bizarre side plot about a high-stakes boxing match. So when the match ends with a faked death, Giesel panics. He's so terrified of being connected to a murder that he just runs, leaving a suitcase with 35 grand behind. The land deal? It was never real. It was just the decoy hiding the real trap.
Now the smokescreen, that's a more subtle play. Instead of throwing out a flashy distraction, you do the opposite. You make yourself seem so harmless, so bland, so predictable that nobody even bothers to watch you. You lull them into a comfy sense of security, so they never see the attack coming.
For a perfect example of this, let's go to 1920s Ethiopia. The future emperor, Haile Selassie, had a huge problem. A powerful, dangerous warlord named Balcha showed up at the capital with a 10,000-man army. I mean, just look at these numbers. Selassie was completely outgunned. A straight-up fight would have been suicide.
So what did he do? Say Lassie put up a smoke screen of incredible hospitality. He invited Balcha to this huge, lavish feast, showered him with respect, and just stroked his ego. Now, Balcha was paranoid. He was sure the banquet was a trap, so he brought 600 of his toughest bodyguards with him. He was so focused on the trap he thought was coming, he was completely blind to the real one.
And here's the brilliant part. While Balcha and his guards were inside getting distracted, Selassie's men went to Balcha's main army camp a few miles away. But they didn't bring guns. They brought baskets overflowing with gold and silver coins, and they simply bought the weapons off Balcha's entire army. The warlord walked out of the feast to find his power had completely vanished, all without a single shot being fired. Incredible.
So, you have to be asking, why does this work? How do these strategies fool even really smart, really paranoid people like Warlord Balcha? What's the psychology behind it all?
Well, it really boils down to a fundamental human truth. Our brains are wired to take things at face value most of the time. I mean, think about it. Can you imagine how exhausting and terrifying life would be if we constantly doubted every single thing we saw and heard? We just can't function that way. So we default to trusting what's right in front of us. And that default setting, well, that's a vulnerability a clever operator can drive a truck through.
And here's the key takeaway, and it's kind of counterintuitive. The best deceivers don't act all secretive and mysterious. No, they act like an open book. They seem honest. They talk your ear off about their goals. They just happen to be the wrong goals. They create this bland, predictable, almost boring exterior that makes you feel safe right before they make their real move.
And that brings us right back to where we started, with our master strategist, Ninon de Linclos, who summed up this entire law perfectly with this quote: "The real victory is won long before your opponent even knows there's a fight." It's a pretty powerful idea about strategy, isn't it? Move in silence and only speak when it's time to say checkmate.